Hello. Check, check. 1, 2. We've started the Twitch stream. Just checking in to see if you all can hear me. If you have anyone in the chat here, come say hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Check, check. 1, 2. Awesome. Coming through Zoom, I think. But I'm waiting to see if we are also coming through on Twitch. Looks like we are. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Todd Anderson. I'm going to be your host for this event. Really excited to be sharing our Meet the Participants event with you. We're gonna give people a couple minutes to pop in, and then we'll get started. And if you are on the Twitch stream and you can hear me through the Twitch stream, let me know. Alrighty. Okay, we're gonna get started in a moment here. I'm assuming things are coming through okay. I'm able to see myself on the Twitch stream, so that's looking promising to me. Alrighty, so let me bring up can show you a little bit about this session. Let's see if this... Okay, thanks so much for the sound check, Tiny Anvil. Alright, let's see if this works. Oh, and looks like I need to adjust something. All right, there I am. All right, now we can see I'll fade out our springtime lo-fi hip hop here. Nice little mellow intro. Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Todd Anderson. We're here for the Meet the Participants event for the SFPC Spring 2023 classes. You're going to be hearing from a bunch of participants who are in our spring set of online classes. This is the largest group of classes. We usually do classes. We usually do around 3 to 4. This is our largest group we've had so far at SFPC of doing 5 classes at the same time. So we're going to be hearing from participants in the musical web with Tommy Martinez and Chloe Alexandra Thompson, narrative constellations with April Soderman and Lee Beckwith, Cellular Automata with Marilla Pulese and Yadira Sanchez, Solidarity Infrastructures with Alice Zhang, Max Fowler, and Mark Anthony Hernandez, and Teaching and Learning as Primitive Hypertext with Camila Janan Rashid and Elizabeth Perez. So these are classes that have been, some of these, I think we have a couple that are have finished or just finished. Some of them are just hitting the midpoint of their class. These largely started at like end of February, beginning of March. And we're going to be hearing from a bunch of participants in these classes. The Meet the Participants event is a big tradition here at SFPC. It's a way we really pride ourselves on having a really interesting and welcoming and supportive alumni community and a group of teachers and students and administrators. And whenever new people are coming to the school, this is one of the main ways for those of us who have been around longer to get to know the new people who are coming in to study, and for you all, one of the things since we've been doing online classes, you don't get the as much like bumping elbows with people after class sort of things, getting to see who's even in some of the other classes you're taking at the same time. So if you've been taking Narrative Constellations, you might know the other people in your class, but you might not know some of the people in Cellular Automata who are here at the same time. And so this can hopefully be a chance for those of you who are current participants to get to know what some of the other people who are here right here at the same time as you, to know what they're up to, and also for those of us who aren't in classes to get to see what sort of things are happening in those classes, and who all of you are. So it's going to be we've got, I think, 13 presenters. Everyone's going to be giving a 4-minute presentation, and we'll just get to hear. And these presentations, you might hear about some people's backgrounds. You might hear about some projects they were working on before SFPC, or you might hear about some of the things they've been thinking about in the context of their class. Some of what brought them to take the class they're currently taking, and what they're thinking about based on what they're currently studying. Seeing some folks in the chat. What's up, Galen? What's up, Mark Anthony? What's up, Sid? Thanks for saying hello in the chat. If anyone here is new to Twitch, I encourage you to, if you would like to join and participate in the stream in the chat, to make a little Twitch account. It's really fun to be able to chat with you and see your reactions during the show. And I've shared the link to the chat with all the participants who will be here on the live stream, so they can follow along and read some of your questions and comments as well. But I think it's about time for us to get started. And one thing I want to encourage you to do that I like to do whenever I'm hosting an online event is to just be really free and loose with your reactions in the chat. Hit me with those clap emojis. Hit me with those woos. Hit me with those yes. When someone is up here presenting, I like to create some of the feeling of a live in-person event. I've got my little applause sound effect that I'll be playing in between people, but try and let these people know as they're presenting that there are people really here watching and really interested in what they have to say. So without further ado, I'm ready to turn things over into our first presenter of the evening. Let's please give a warm welcome from the Musical Web class. We have Izzy Colpitts Campbell. Give it up for Izzy.
Hello. I'm just gonna get my screen sharing. Oh, I can't start screen sharing. Well, you are.
Oh, all right. I'm going to stop sharing my audio. It was really important to me that everyone hear my my lo-fi synthwave.
There. All right. Hello, I'm Izzy Colpitts Campbell, coming in from Halifax today, in Nova Scotia. And most of my work is kind of centered around creating communication and connection between folks, usually using technology, but also I'm very interdisciplinary, have a kind of a background in textiles. And I do this through grassroots community organizing, but today I'm going to show more of kind of some of my personal work, kind of pushing the boundaries of how we can interact with technology and communicate. I started really early on actually doing some sound work, which this piece is called Costumes for Cyborgs. And it's actually, as you kind of move, these abstract sounds are created. And I hadn't done a lot of sound work since this piece. But when I saw the musical web, I was kind of intrigued about how I could do more of this kind of embodied sound work while combining more of the kind of networked web stuff that I've been doing recently. And so this kind of idea of pushing technology has brought me to kind of think about how I might kind of embody sound in objects that that are very mundane and push kind of expectations of what happens when you interact with something. In this case, I'm thinking about chairs. And this is actually a proposal I just put in for a specific site installation. But in the course, I'm just going to be working on how multiple people can kind of interact to compose a piece of music over the web without being in the same location, and how you can kind of respond and interact with a bunch of people who you don't even know where they are or if they are there with you. So really playing with kind of these abstract communication and connections that I think are very interesting, and push a little bit of what we think about when we think about like efficient communication over technology. That is more like an email or a messenger kind of app, and go a little bit into the abstractness of sound. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on, what I've been thinking about. I'm very excited to hear from everyone else, and I'm very happy I went first so I can be stress-free and enjoy all the other participant presentations.
Thanks so much, Izzy. All right, let's give it up for Izzy. Let's welcome Joachim van den Wijngaard. Welcome, Joachim.
Hello. Hello, I'm gonna try to share my screen. Or you're doing it already?
Oh, sorry.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, where it's currently almost 12:30 at night. So I thought let's play around a little bit with my background. So I'm coming to you not only from the Netherlands, but also from one of Piranesi's dungeons. So Piranesi was this Italian artist and architect from the 18th century, who's mostly famous for his etchings of imaginary dungeons, which would go on forever and have these endless hallways and endless staircases, which I'm kind of getting into lately. And also I thought it kind of makes sense in talking about cellular automata, which for me was the first time of encountering these rules that change states and this kind of biological aspect of transformation, but also algorithms and seeing how they play out. So I thought I'd just show some of what I've been working on. I mean, pattern making was kind of following along. This was a very first time doing this analog coding for me, and I was interested in how these patterns, which are kind of mathematical, find their resonance in nature. So I found an overlap of this natural kind of essence and this mathematical structure, which was kind of interesting to me. So I started doing my own kind of ink drawings on that. Also kind of talking about the creative process, how that's always kind of branching out into endless patterns, but perhaps there is a pattern. I kind of really sunk my teeth in these drawings, and I'll come back to them in a little bit. During the course, at one point I went to an island and we had homework to create a game with changing states. So since I was on an island, I thought I'd do it on the beach, which was a lot of fun, very simple rules of a big creature, and if a small creature is in close encounter with it, the big creature moves there and eats it. Yeah, and it was nice that at the end of the experiment, let's say, the water took it away. Yeah, and then I started, seeing these patterns in nature more frequently. So it kind of became a little bit of a lens. And so, yeah, I'm kind of working with that. This is a very bare bone skeleton of a sculpture of this sort of viewing portal that's perhaps going to be in molding wax or in bronze. And then I'm doing portals. My time's almost up already. But yeah, I'm working on a light box now, showing the different stages of the creation of an image, kind of exploring analog and technical, like electricity and light. Yeah, that was it. I look forward to seeing what everyone else is doing. And yeah, if you're ever here in the Netherlands, come say hi. And that was it.
All right. Thank you so much, Jokan. And I hope people on the Twitch stream enjoyed that dungeon soundtrack. I know the presenters in the Zoom call didn't get to hear it, so we couldn't get it to quite play off Jokam's computer, but it was very fitting. Thank you so much, Jokan. So up next, we have our first presenter from the Solidarity Infrastructures class. Very excited to welcome Juan Andres Zafra. Give it up for Juan.
Hi. I'll share my screen. Yeah, okay. Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Well, my name is Juan Andres. You can also call me Ha. Sounds like Ha in English. I'm from Lima, Peru. I identify myself as Rafael Santa Cruz, an artist from here would say Indo Blanquinegro, which kind of roughly equals to mixed race, currently recognizing my Afro-Amazonian and Peruvian Criollo heritage influences. Pronoun indifferent. Consider myself like constantly curious of learning and doing and connecting with different kind of projects and people. I have been studying and creating from collective improvisation across arts, like writing, theater, dance, music. Also learning a lot and trying to create from critical design, civic media, ecosystemic thinking, and relational diversity. I'm working towards poetic and social justice. My key themes are intersections and borders among identities, power, statuses, models, memories, and habits. Let's see the next slide. Yeah. Some projects I have been doing where I have learned and have done some experiments. Once, a couple of years ago, almost 7 years ago, I co-founded a work design cooperative in Argentina. I also recently, the last year, directed and co-created an artistic experience called Poherbarios, which is here in Peru, which is a portmanteau of poetry and herbary. You could say that it's like an arts party trip through poetry, dance, music, theater, and electronic interfaces, all made, performed in live. And it is also the name of a personal collection of poems that was the starting point of the artistic experience. I have also worked at Peru's Ministry of Education and communications teams areas, proposing concepts regarding creative writing and communication strategies for national public education campaigns. And currently, I have been learning and doing stand-up comedy. Have presented in stand-up comedy yet, but I'm actually like in a workshop of that. I'm working for GRADE, which is a social science think tank in Lima, particularly involved in CREAR project. It's a rural education project in the province, in different provinces in Cajamarca, a region here in Peru. And I'm also part of Solidarity Infrastructure's course. My class project is trying to be a research about how to implement a local networks for rural areas, whether through radio or Bluetooth. And also I'm looking to try to implement an alternative design for a bargaining system. And I am also looking for the next installment of Poder Varios in different communities, spaces in Lima and Peru, maybe, hopefully. And to end, I'm going to share the 1-minute video. I guess I have something, yeah. About Poder Varios.
Juan, are we supposed to be getting sound?
Yeah, I don't know.
You might need to share
yeah.
again with the share sound box. Check. Oh, there you go. We're good.
Yeah, thanks.
Un viaje. Pensar. O no. No tenemos pertenencias, sino equipaje. Prohibido dudar. O no. Solo sal si es necesario. O no. El viaje es del pensamiento. El viaje es movimiento. Prohibido vivir. ¿Qué es necesario? El lujo de poder hacernos preguntas. Esto es algo que no todo el mundo puede. ¿Quién fue primero? ¿La piedra o la mano? Mantén, sostiene, congelado, chapado. Hace falta una crisis para ver las piedras. No te muevas, hay que hacer. Y hoy toca pensar en nuestros movimientos.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Give it up for Juan, everyone. That was a really beautiful video. Thank you for sharing that with us. Looked like a really amazing event. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much. I saw we had some new people join us on the stream. So welcome. If you're just tuning in, you're here for the Meet the Participants event for SFPC Spring 2023 classes. We're just getting started. We've only heard 4 presenters so far. So really happy to have you join us as we go into our next presenter. It's another presenter from the Cellular Automata class, taught by Murilo Palese and Yadira Sanchez. So please give it up for our next presenter, who is Pratibha Rathore. Is Pratibha here? Just want to check. Oh, I think maybe we do not have Pratibha on the call, so we are going to skip them for now and move ahead. Sorry for the short notice. We are going to move ahead to our first presenter from the Narrative Constellations class, who is Keith S. Wilson. Give it up for Keith. Vamp for a second, give Keith a chance. I think Keith wasn't expecting to be on right now. So, all right, looks like Keith is ready. Keith, do you have video?
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes.
Nobody can hear me?
Yep. Wait, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, my name is Keith Wilson. I am a poet primarily. I also work in my full-time job as a game designer. And so I originally started off working in traditional poetry. So I have a book that is, sort of text written on a page, the way that you sort of imagine it. More and more recently, I've been working on visual poems. So this is an example here on the left of one of my visual poems. This is called Angles of Incidence, and it's sort of like an abstracted version of the map of the Central Park 5 incident. The way that I have been creating my poetry involves reading in different orders and really allowing the audience to choose how to read the poem, which is very different than many poems are written. So this is like another example. This is called Spelled to Trace a Rainbow to Its Apogee. And this one uses the sort of medieval maps of the firmament to talk about Trayvon Martin and religion and a bunch of different ideas. And then the last one I'll show you of the sort of visual poetry that I'm working on or have worked on is this last poem called, sorry, let me scroll to it. This is called Uncanny Emmett Till. So this poem is sort of about the concept of the uncanny valley, which one of the ways I sort of interpret it is that it's sort of about people's difficulty with sort of dealing with not knowing fully whether something is human or not. And so I use that and the fact that the sort of graph of the uncanny valley looks like a dramatic narrative arc to talk about the murder of Emmett Till. So those are like both the kinds of things that I've done in my visual poetry and the sort of some of the topics that I've been writing around before this class and the other kinds of work that I've been working on, which is the other kind of work that I'm working on is it's like interactive in some way, and that's where a lot of my work has been going and the stuff that I've been working on in class. So I've been doing all kinds of different things. This is an example of a poem that uses kind of like hacked tooltip stuff. So like when you highlight these different portions of these things that sort of look like clouds, you can read portions of a poem and a lot of the poem is sort of obscured. Or in this poem here, a very simple twine thing, which we were working on in class. We were beginning to work on twine. So this allows you to sort of like cycle through and create different drafts of a poem, sort of like a refrigerator magnet poetry combined with like an actual draft of a poem. And then the other thing that I'm very interested in and that I've been working on most recently and trying to think about is how to incorporate time in poetry, especially really long drawn out periods of times, not just like things on a timer that you can sort of watch, but things that are really actually hard to express in any particular way. So like this is an example of a poem that if you go here, depending on what part of the day it is, you'll get a different poem. So you can't read the same poem twice, really. Is like sort of the idea. And I've been trying to extend that even further and think about how long I can sort of stretch out the amount of time that it takes to sort of experience a thing. And I guess the very last thing I'll say is one of the things I've been really interested in is seeing all these different ideas because this part of it, sort of like coding part, takes so much time. And so I have to really do a lot of like ideation and stuff before I invest myself into like fully trying to get a thing out there. And so it's been really great seeing other folks work and hearing different people's ideas. And you know, even like the idea of collaboration is super interesting to me. So yeah, if anyone's interested in that, please reach out. But yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Keith. Really, really exciting to see the range of your work there and the different ways the visual and the interactive are coming together. So thank you so much for sharing that. Ooh, I'm off camera. Here I am. Don't need to mumble into the corner. So thanks so much for that, Keith. We have another presenter queued up for you. Up next, we're going to be hearing from Haley Morton from the Cellular Automata class. Give it up for Haley.
Hello. Just gonna give myself a second to sort myself out here, share my screen. Just want to confirm you can see and hear me.
I can see and hear you.
That's great. All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Haley. I'm extremely grateful to be here and also being able to hear from the other participants in the other classes. This is really amazing. I was a part of the Cellular Automata class, so I just wanted to walk through a bit about what brought me to the school, what I did at the school, and then what I'm planning to do beyond the school. So I thought I would do that by just giving a little walkthrough about myself and my work. So I live and I work in Montreal, Canada. My day job is as a user experience researcher, primarily focused on building interfaces for artificial intelligence tools for no or low code developers. And recently for generative AI interfaces. And I also knit and crochet, and I really try to do my due diligence to figure out how to bring all of these worlds together in some way. So my background is actually in psychology and behavioral neuroscience. I thought I loved experimental psychology, but I actually just ended up feeling a little bit freaked out by the end of my degree about everything. I worked in a lot of labs during undergrad. This is a selfie of me in the bathroom of the basement in the same building where they did the MKUltra experiments. So had a lot of just conflicted feelings, even just beyond that super cursed environment. I just felt like, I was a little disillusioned by the end of my degree. I really loved the elegance and the idea of computational modeling of the brain, neurological structures, but the actual act of studying it and doing it just wasn't for me. So after that, I took a break. I got the first job that I could find at an artificial intelligence startup. I was labeling images for machine learning models, for training machine learning models, which is basically just like doing CAPTCHAs for 7 hours a day. So I'm also not fully certain if I'm able to talk about the types of projects I was doing because the startup that I worked for was acquired by the company I currently work for. So I don't really know what the NDA situation is there. So hence the generic image on the page, but basically just putting bounding boxes on images all day. And it was from here where I learned about software development, where I learned about data science, machine learning, and I actually transitioned into doing UX and UI design and research while I was there. And while I was in that job, while I was doing the bounding boxes for 7 hours, I had a lot of time to listen to podcasts. I was thinking a lot about just physical infrastructures of computing. James Bridle just came out with New Dark Age at the time. I was reading that, just really thinking about physical computation. And at the same time, I was looking back into the history of the connection between computers and textiles. So I got really obsessed with the Jacquard loom as the sort of first computer, in quotation marks, to work from binary inputs from punch cards. So this really felt activating to me, and I started to kind of gather a lot of information and resources in this area. This ended up leading me into creating a channel on Arena that's still active, so I encourage anyone who's interested in this to take a look. I kind of started documenting this with no real direction in mind, but it was just sort of a landing pad for these worlds of textiles and computation to exist in one place, and for me to try to figure out some connections by seeing it in one area. So one thing led to the next, and I learned how to knit and crochet. I did this as a way to sort of make sense of these like interwoven histories. So I'm just going to quickly walk through a couple of projects and sketches. This is one that I did when I was collecting data visualizations of butterfly flight paths. I took just a bunch of images that I found from scientific papers, took the sort of most standout ones, and then I translated them into a knit grid. I really liked the intricacy and the contrast of the sterility of these scientific graphs with this like delicate and beautiful kind of like feminine motif. And then this was a wall hanging that I made when I was hoarding images from machine learning edge detection papers. So this is like a way that computer vision models learn to recognize boundaries of an image. But I really like the sort of sense of movement that it creates and these abstract images that sort of haphazardly come up out of the process. So that's the origin of that. And then this is a recent project where I can create wearable objects from the sort of like accidental poetics of CAPTCHA. I really love CAPTCHA. Definitely feels a bit informed by my time doing labeling, but I just feel like these little sort of like accidental poems, they're very ephemeral. We engage with them super quickly and they just kind of come and go, but oftentimes they can be really funny or really beautiful. So I wanted to create something physical and material to honor these sort of accidental little turns of phrases. So these were a couple of ideas that were floating around in my head when I came across the Cellular Automata course at School for Poetic Computation. So I was thinking a lot about meaning making through grids, the use of textiles and fibers to capture digital processes, modeling complexity through binary systems, and then visualizing usually these unseen or behind the scenes algorithmic black box processes. So I just want to walk through maybe a couple of things that I did in the class. I was really excited to use knitting to explore cellular automata. So here's a process picture and the final product of a piece that I did on my knitting machine. So it's not electronic. I actually hand manipulate the stitches. So I played around with rules until I found something that kind of visually stood out to me. And then I migrated that into my knitting software. And then I brought that onto my machine and I created this piece. And then the next thing that I worked on was this exploration. I really liked the sense of movement, the really unique ways that figures were moving in Conway's Game of Life. I thought it was really specific to that animation and that movement. So I wanted to try to capture that through stop motion and knitting. In the time frame that I had, this ended up being so much more time consuming than I thought it would be. I was only able to create 15 frames. But you can still sort of see that trademark Conway's Game of Life movement in the piece, which I was really happy about. And I'm really hoping to revisit stop motion and knitting really soon because it was something new for me. I've never done anything like that before. I've never even tried stop motion beyond the age of 8. So I'm going to try to pick that up again when I don't have a tight timeline in mind. So if you want, let's stay in touch. Just have my Instagram, email, and my arena listed here. I encourage you to reach out if you ever want to collaborate on a textile piece or talk about complicated feelings about working in STEM. If you want to send me a cool recipe, I'm very open to that as well. And I'm also trying to toss into the world that I'm very interested in hacking a knitting machine, but I have yet to find someone who has the resources or the interest to do that. So I'm gonna shoot my shot. Thank you. That's all I had. I'm excited to hear the rest of the presentations.
Thank you so much, Haley. Wow. This knitting stop motion animations were really beautiful. I'm really glad to see those. I have a friend who's a stop motion animator and I really want to show that to him. Cool. Thanks so much, everybody. We are about at the midway point of our event here this evening. And up next, I have we have one of the things, and I know you've already heard from people from a number of places around the world, but we have a very international group of participants this spring, and more so with our online classes. And so when we have a real time event like this, we can't always have everyone at the same time, and of course sometimes people have work conflicts as well. So we have a couple of people who have sent in videos, and I have a video queued up for you next. So we're going to be hearing from Benjamin Hall from the Solidarity Infrastructures class. And let me just real quick queue up that video, and then I can play that for you. Okay, here we go.
Hey, my name.
All right, and then let me share screen into the Zoom as well, so you all can see it. And share sound. Alrighty. And okay, and here, let's give it up for Benjamin. And I can turn off. Oh, nope. I'm trying to disappear. There we go.
Hey, my name is Ben, or Benjamin Hall. I'm pre-recording this. I'm sorry I can't be there live. Really annoying. From my flat, from the most fun angle in my flat in Glasgow, in Scotland. I'm part of the Tuesday group for the Solidarity Infrastructures course. My first time doing one with SFPC. It's been great so far, really enjoying it. And I use a they pronoun. I'm just going to walk through a couple of years of my practice and then hopefully finish with what I'm doing now and next as part of the course. So I've been working as an artist, facilitator, curator by accident, largely with game engines and virtual production technology for the last couple of years. This started with technically leading and coordinating a couple of online worlds and shows made in the Unity engine during the UK COVID lockdowns from 2020 onwards. So I coordinated the recreation of my cancelled Glasgow School of Art end of degree show, featuring contributions from kind of about 150 affected students. I conceived and technically developed an in-browser multiverse platform for an online residency and kind of LARPing program I was a part of, called Spur World. That one was great. Some others too. During this time, I also developed work for and with artists like Danielle Brathwaite Shirley and her visions. Made a game with R.I.P. Jermaine. And all of this work led quite fluidly to me becoming a regular member of the artist group DARD Futurism, which is kind of transcontinental, cross-border collaboration between a number of makers. And I've been most involved with our ongoing virtual world project, which had a couple of different manifestations. There was an in-browser version with New Art City, a kind of online gallery run from so-called California. There's a video presentation in the gallery in Gateshead. We're currently working through a VR installation of it at Format Photography Festival. And I've helped kind of technically deliver and contribute my own narratives to that collective environment. We've consulted with neuroscientists and fairly hardcore JavaScript coders to get it also to function a kind of syncopated breath exercise. That's been a really generative project, I think. And most recently, I've been working more in a kind of theatrical and dance space using embodied and motion capture techie forms of interaction with these virtual production and game environments to try and explode my approach to them out from things that register very much as computer-based, screen-based, video game feeling experiences to broader forms of embodied storytelling. I've tried bringing this work to a couple of regional collections and local archives and libraries, like on a residency with a library in Lithuania, with the City Museum of Oxford, as part of an ongoing working hypothesis, I guess, in bringing these forms of like immersive storytelling and interactive worlding to local repositories of public knowledge as a way to create alternative forms of access to those histories. And currently I'm trying to bring these skills to the formation and establishment of a new community lab and membership scheme in FACT Liverpool, which is a publicly funded creative technology and new media arts focused space in Liverpool in England. I've been tech specking the lab. I've been writing the workshop program and the community agreement, and that was the impetus for me enrolling in the Solidarity Infrastructures course. Hopefully, there's going to be a local server in it, and that should be opening up to the public hopefully later this year. Yeah, my website is so out of date that I'm unfortunately going to have to say just get me on Instagram, which I will link here. But thanks so much.
All right. Thanks so much, Ben. So cool to hear about what you're working on. I'm gonna stop my share here, or let me see if I can. All right, switch back over here. Oh, hello, Kelly. Welcome. It's right about the halfway point of our Meet the Participants event, and I just wanted to make a quick detour to tell you a little bit about our next season of classes for the summer. We just announced those in last week, or I guess a week and a half ago. And so we have 2 classes running this summer with applications open. So we have alternative typographic histories, which here we go. You can see some of this with Hind El-Sad and Levy Hammett. Really like exploring, kind of breaking apart a lot of the kind of like Western typographic history, and exploring a lot of non-Western typography, Arabic typography, all sort of different approaches to how type could be interpreted by computers and designed. There's going to be a lot of really interesting things going on there. That's a 10-week online class on Sundays. And then the other class is Experiments in Networked Performance, which is being taught again after a successful run last summer. And this class is taught by me. Hello, I'm Todd Anderson. Nice to see you. And I'm also co-teaching it with Thierry Kananaruk, who's a really amazing teacher, programmer, performance artist. And we're going to do a mix of teaching how to make websites and interactive networked web technology. So how to connect many computers and phones live in real time in a shared environment. And we're going to work over the course of the class. It's going to start on June 5th and meet twice a week for 5 weeks. And then eventually we're going to have work towards a final show on July 8th, which we're going to produce here in New York as part of SFPC's residency at Recess. And we're going to be producing the show in New York, but students can attend from wherever. So people can come to New York and produce the event here, but we fully expect some people to just be an online participant, because all the performance is going to be for an online audience and be a crazy interactive hybrid thing. So applications for both of those are open till April 28th. And I'll drop a link to apply in our the chat on the Twitch here. If anyone is interested, I'll drop it in here as well. Cool. So thanks for letting me take a little break to talk about some of what we have going on at SFPC. We're going to move on to our next featured presenter here. And we are going to be hearing from, let me make sure that they are here. Yes, we're going to be hearing from Saga Barros. Please give it up for Saga.
Hi, thank you. How are you? Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you. And yes, here now we can see you too.
Okay, I'll start sharing. There we go. So, well, I didn't have quite the time to make a presentation, so I'm showing you an old ones, which I twitched a little, but it's in Spanish. So first of all, I'm a little sorry for that. Well, I'm Saga. I'm from Tucumán, Argentina. I'm a game developer. I'm a digital artist, teacher, and a cultural manager. I used to explain what a cultural manager is because it's not something so common everywhere, but it is here in Argentina. Cultural management is about providing the tools to create, develop, manage, and evaluate projects with organizations, enterprise, and institutions in the area of cultural and creative communities. So it's like a community kind of work. I took the description from Google. Well, I'm gonna be showing you some of the work I make with Ludalab. It's an electronic and digital arts laboratory. It's a team that I have here in Tucumán, Argentina, and most of my creative work I make it through Ludalab. Ludalab it's 50% video game development studio and 50% an art collective. So it's kind of a weird monster. We have been making little video games mainly for cell phones. They are usually free games that we work with some public entities to develop with ideas that have to do with social. With social concerns, with gender, with cultural and identity stories. And we are now working on Por el Campo, which is you could translate like by the fields or by the country. I'm gonna get back to that in a minute. We also make stuff like these projects that's called Huancas Rising, where we took some 3D scannings of some huancas here in a town in my province. Huancas are kind of like menhirs, but not exactly that, and they have a lot of story behind with the civilizations that were here before white people. We made Golem, which is an art exhibit where we worked with 3D printing, but we printed with clay instead of plastic. The idea of the Golem that is like an automaton made of clay, so sort of resonated with us while creating the machine to do it. And we are also currently making art jams, which are kind of like game jams, but you don't make video games, you make art projects. Currently we're having our second run with a lot of workshops previous to the jam itself. We are now with a photogrammetry workshop. We made Arduino, Touch Designer, and next week we're gonna make a motion capture workshop. And through May, we are gonna make the jam itself, where people of any background will be able to get into teams and create digital and electronic art. So going back to by the field or by the country, Por el Campo, the video game we're currently making, it's inspired in a little doggy that lives in the field, lives in the Tucumán rainforest. and he simply goes around and has experiences and interactions with animals, with people, with some supernatural entities and stuff like that. It's not actually a video game because you don't have like rules, you don't have like enemies and that kind of stuff. It's more simply like an experience. And the cellular automata course helped me a lot to envision what we want to do in Ludalab with the game. It took me back to a lot of ideas about all these models, like the cellular automata, like fractals, like flocking systems, like a lot of stuff that you can make computationally to create or to simulate nature on a computer environment. So now we are working on making on getting some of those models in the project, so we can create those behaviors inside of the game, and you can play with the behaviors of a bee system, of a fish system, where you can. Well, I'm not just play with that, and I'm gonna show you very quickly a little bit of what I was doing on the CA. On the CA course, I'm gonna show you with my camera because you can kind of see. So in this little doggy, when you have like green.
Oh, Saga, we can't hear you so well anymore.
Oh. There you can hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my cat took the cable of of my headphones. So you get this grid, and the dog walks through the grid, and the grid changes according to some set of rules that are bound to be changed. And we want to make this work in more of a kind of natural environment, where you can simply modify the spaces you walk through by simply walking through them. And that's kind of it. If you wanna get in touch, here are some of here's my email, Instagram, and LinkedIn. It's not my personal Instagram, because in my personal Instagram there's nothing about what I do. But yeah, that's all. Thank you all for listening to me. Thank you for sharing what you do with everyone. And I'll be hearing the rest of the presentation.
All right. Thank you so much, Saga. Really cool to see the application of some of those cellular automata ideas inside of a game engine. Really tied things together to see it that way. Cool. Okay, so up next we have some guests from the teaching and learning class taught by Camila Janan Rashid and Elizabeth Perez. And I think they're here to tell us a little bit about the final part of that class, and I might chime in as well because I've been taking the teaching and learning class as well. But let's please welcome Sherilyn Tan and Nia Hampton from Teaching and Learning.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be speaking on behalf of our class along with Nia and Todd. Feel free to jump in. There's no slides, so I'll just be speaking. But hi, I'm Sherilyn. Just a little bit about myself is I'm originally from Malaysia and currently based in Boston. And for the last couple of weeks, have been part of the Teaching and Learning as Primitive Hypertext class. I'm a musician, facilitator, been a design coach at this nonprofit network of designers. So I've been building curriculum, facilitating workshops and learning spaces, working on some culture building. And so personally, as I came through this class, like I thought a lot about like my sound practice in deep listening and improvisation as well. And that's the lens that I've been coming in with and carrying with me throughout the class. And so I'm just going to speak a little bit of some of the themes and questions that we've encountered throughout the class as well. And so this theme of like deep listening and close listening has been something that has been throughout the class as well. We start off oftentimes with the question of like, what are your intentions for today? And what would you like to open yourself up to? And really putting into practice the kind of attuning to the needs of the class in that moment, in the class needs for that day. We've been reflecting a lot about what it means to be a teacher and learner, what it means to be like slowing down and like focus in on different texts, and the text being like reading sort of text, but also like other texts that we've been encountering in the world, whether it's like a tree as a text or a body as a text. And so some questions that we're thinking about is, how does learning feel like, and how does it sound like? And so there's a lot of this like embodied experience of learning that comes through intuition, movement, body. And then another theme that we've talked a lot about is on citing and citing our teachers. So we've talked about how citing is a means of creating this lineage, how all our learning and teaching is relational, whether it's human to human, relational to like nature, across time, intergenerationally. So in the class, we've drawn from teachers such as Octavia Butler, Audre Lorde, Alexis Pauline Gumbs, and from each other in the class. I've personally learned a lot from just being in space and conversation with everyone. And I think one way that we've been thinking a lot about like learning is through the framing of invitations and prompts as gifts. And so, yeah, I guess to talk a little bit about what we're kind of pulling together as a class to is we'll be building this archival hypertext through a website that will incorporate some of these prompts, invitations, and also wanted to offer everyone that space a prompt of who are your teachers, and really expanding this notion of expanding the scope of who you consider as teachers. So whether it is like your mother, your parents, your siblings, but also what you see from day to day, like the walks and nature that you encounter, the body and movements that you carry through you throughout time and living. Yeah. And I guess I just, wanted to also open up the space here if like Nia or Todd want to jump in as well.
I can just quickly add something that I've been taking with me as an educator. I'm an artist, disciplinary, but primarily educating right now. And so this class has been really helpful in helping me find grace for myself as an educator, and setting the tone for my classes to be places where my students understand that they are co-learners or that they are also teaching me. And thankfully, where I'm teaching a film festival programming class through a media program. So it's not like a traditional school setting. No one's getting like graded or, not promoted to the next grade. So like the stakes are much lower. But in letting students know that like this is the first time I've taught this class, I may learn new things may change. I think it's opened them up to take more risks and be more experimental. And so it's just been, I think this is the first time that I've actively been in a class. While teaching a class, I'm in another class related to film, and I'm learning so much in this class. And so my syllabus is changing in real time. Like I'm adding things to the syllabus the night before and coming into class and be like, hey, this wasn't in the syllabus before. Don't have a panic attack, but this is something new that I found out. And if you have something new that you know that I don't know, like, let's talk about it, let's share. And I think this class has really helped me like feel okay with teaching like this, because this is not necessarily a way that I would have taught before taking this class.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Sherilyn and Nia. And I can they mentioned I'm taking this class as well, and I feel a little similarly to Nia in that I'm not teaching this semester, but as I mentioned earlier, I have my experiments in network performance class coming up in starting in June, and taking this class, I'm very much thinking like, oh, okay, I know I want to do this. Now I want to make this change to the syllabus. And yeah, it's been I've been teaching a mix of like in person and online for like 7 or 8 years, and I'm kind of like in a point where I have my way I do things, and I'm been ready to be kind of jolted out of that to try some different things to break some of whatever habits I've been doing, and studying with Camila has been a really cool way to have, because yeah, my inclinations are towards a very adaptive, responsive classroom, like with students as co-learners and having more agency in the situation. I've definitely been thinking more about different ways to do that. So it's having a big change in my teaching practice as well. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, Sherilyn and Nia. And yeah, I'll catch you at our next teaching and learning class. So we've got a few more presenters for you here. Oh, I have up next, I have another video to show you, which is from Justin Manley in the Cellular Automata class. Let me get that queued up for you here.
My name is Justin Manley.
Oh no, not ready for you yet, Justin. Okay, and then I can share the screen and put it over on the stream. Okay, still here, still with me. Here's Justin. Let's go.
I'm a writer and a programmer. When I write, one thing I write about is computational and technological art. So I've written about robotic sculptor Alan Rath. He makes robots, is a robot. I've also written about digital artist Camille Utterback and generative painter Clive McCarthy. Sometimes I write about things that are broader than an artist or a particular artwork. This is an essay about optimization culture, which for me touches everything in our culture, from powdered meal replacement drinks like Soylent and Huel to companies which use reinforcement learning to train neural networks to make humans run and walk. So this essay is about the kind of dark fascination that we have with optimization, that I have with optimization, but also the wonder of seeing order and structure come out of randomness. A recent project I worked on, which is a little different, is a short story, a piece of short fiction about a woman who is fascinated by Conway's Game of Life. And that is what drew me to this course. I saw the email about SFEC's 2023 spring courses just after I finished writing this, and I thought it was perfect. So that brings me to the past few weeks and some of the things I've worked on during those weeks. This is one of the first things I did. It is a 4-state cellular automata where the states are represented by 2 different crossings, a crossing like this, and then 2 different loops in different orientations. I was interested with this in entanglement, in the relationships between things, and the way that things become related by sort of crossing each other and becoming linked. And I thought this might be an interesting visual language for exploring those ideas. I still haven't figured out what the right update rule is for the cellular automata. It's hard to make it do something interesting. This is a rule that I thought a lot about and sort of reflected on, but it's not that interesting. This is a random rule. It's a little bit more interesting, but it's not quite there yet. This is another project I worked on. the black dashes around the edge are a one-dimensional elementary cellular automaton. And you can think of it kind of like an inflatable kiddie pool full of water, where the inflatable part around the outside are the black dashes. And when you push that inflatable edge of the pool, it causes ripples in the water that are completely determined by the structure around it, but are still like different and emergent. And those ripples in the water are what's happening with the gray in the middle. So here are a few more examples of this project. Coming up next, I'm writing a review for Hyperallergic of the computer art show that's up at LACMA right now in Los Angeles. And this and my other projects are linked from my website, which is justinmanley.work. So you can find all this cool stuff there. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Justin. Appreciate you sending in that video. And interested to hear what you have to say about the show at LACMA. I haven't seen that yet. Alrighty, everybody. How we all doing? How you doing out there in chat? You still with us? Still hanging out? We have just two more presenters for you. And we've got one of them coming up right now. Please give it up for, let me get my Zoom back set up. Yeah. Please give it up for Nat Shager from the musical web class. Give it up for Nat.
Hey everyone. Let me share my screen here. Cool. Yeah, my name is Nat, that's short for Nathaniel, and I'm an artist, programmer, and a teacher. I'm based in California, and I'm originally from the Mojave Desert. Right now I live in the Bay Area. I studied computer science, and I identify as gender fluid. And so actually I might not go by Nat soon. I might start going by the name Arden instead. But still trying that one out. So for now, Nat is okay. And a little about me, I love SFPC. I've done scrapism and algorithmic botany, and I'm also in musical web right now. So this is my third SFPC class. And then I'm also moving to New York in August to attend Parsons DT MFA. So if anyone has New York City survival tips, please let me know. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about net art, which is something that I really enjoy doing. And I have some live demos for you actually. So this first one, you can actually open up the link and try it yourself. It's called, I haven't actually figured out the name yet, but both of these pieces are in the vein of critical design. And the idea is to take these basic UI elements and kind of interrogate their uses, their utility. So this first one here, here it is. So it might take a second to load on your computer. And actually, I might not have shared sound. Let me unshare and reshare really quick. There we go. I should have sound now. So this one is a sound piece. Actually, I made it for the musical web class. And it's kind of a cellular automata as well, speaking of those. But these different checks will behave in different ways. So if you pop them, some of them will go out in different patterns and then have interactions with their neighbors. And so yeah, in a way, it's like a music piece that utilizes like sort of the emergent properties of these checks. And you can really make it explode as well. And you can also make them disappear. So yeah, this one is, it's one demo you can try. And I kind of just wanted to do some live demos to give sort of like a moment of a little bit of like relaxation towards the end of the class. So that's ndns.art/checks if you want to try that one. The second experiment I want to try, which I'll leave on a little bit longer even, is this shared, it's a network experience. So actually, if we all try it, like if you all will indulge me for a second and then go to this link, then we can kind of try it together. It's the first time I've tried it with several people, so it might explode, it might not. But yeah, this is ndns.art/fields. Similar to checks, except you can replace checks with fields. This one is inspired by the idea of a community garden. And so let me refresh it. Sometimes it's a little bit of a newer piece. I can see someone's using it already. But basically I was thinking about what is like in terms of UI, what is a field, and like what is a useful field? And so in this situation, I made these text fields where you can only type vegetables, and then you can see other people typing vegetables as well. So it's like this idea of this like web community garden, and I can hear a lot of people crunching right now, so just add my own. Yeah, this is my name in vegetable. A lot of olives in my name. Yeah. Oops, I stopped sharing completely. The volume's having a great time. So anyway, yeah, thanks for testing that with me. That was pretty cool. So all of those vegetables will just stay there for a while, and maybe someone else can go find them. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I just wanted to do some experiments on you all. Thanks again, and yeah, you can follow me, or if you go to my website ndns.art, then you can find my social media from there and follow me if you're interested in more. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nat. It was a really fun experiment to be part of, and I love little networked things like that. It's a big part of my my work and teaching practice as well. So really excited to see that. Great, thank you so much, and thank you so much to you in the chat. We are at our final presenter. Last but not least, we have Chia Amisola from the Solidarity Infrastructures class. Give it up for Chia.
Hello. Hi, I'm Chia. I'm calling from the Bay Area, but I was born and raised in Manila, Philippines. I graduated from college with a computing in the arts degree less than a year ago and have been exploring work as an internet and ambient artist, and my day job is a product designer, as many are. Most of my practice has been guided by how I've been constantly placemaking on the internet for as long as I could remember. Sorry, this is my Chia Pixel wrapped. My personal site serves as an index of work and encounters that date back to as early as 2009, if you scroll all the way down. And I've been treating these websites as kind of like small worlds, perhaps since I was 7, just fumbling around the internet. And I've generally been interested in making systems, gatherings, and tools that work towards imagining a world where the act of creation could be synonymous with liberation. I'm taking the Spring Solidarity Infrastructures class. When I applied and was asked to speak to a tool or infrastructure, I talked about the Rosary because I'm loaded with Catholic trauma and because it is a visible infrastructure, which doesn't really which kind of is contradictory, but it's loaded with its own form of ritual and history, yet you kind of imbue new meaning and norms in the different contexts that you navigated. It had different meaning in my family versus in my Catholic school versus my personal relationship with the medium. And I started thinking about my own way of archiving myself through my sites, and how there was kind of this process and ritual that kind of drew me to continue making sites and in making browser-based art as a medium from then onwards. I didn't know if anyone else would save me but myself, so went ahead to extensively document my work and tell the story of myself and present myself, because if no one else could declare that it meant something, then this space I carved out in the internet and on the web allowed me to declare it for myself and kind of take up space and say that this meant something. I've also been thinking about the politics of optics, who gets to be seen and who gets to be saved as a result. All of my interest as an ambient artist is about this question of visibility and who gets foregrounded, who gets placed in the background, what gets to be all enveloping. I've also been thinking a lot about work in the Philippines, which is currently under a surveillance state where we're run by the son of a ousted dictator from 30 years ago. We live in a pretty bad time of revisionism and suppression. I constantly struggle with my role as a tech worker while oceans away from home. So sometime last year, I made this index called the Martial Law Index that kind of curated materials about the Ferdinand Marcos System martial law regime from a few decades back. And essentially these materials came from seeing informal networks of exchange where my people were just sharing Google Drives of materials, books, articles, and government documents, and sharing them in social media, blasting them across Telegram and Facebook groups, kind of informally collecting this network of information and knowledge, where there were no formal institutions serving this. And this was all maintained through a spreadsheet. I began being really interested in making small archives for things that needed this kind of presentation on a site. I used the same spreadsheet tactic when putting together this Philippine cassette archive, which was a bit of a more fun project for me when I was really into tapes. A project that just collected releases by Filipino labels, to just look over design ephemera and also kind of begin to sort and filter out material. A lot of these were ripped from just Discogs entries of cassette entries, but also from Facebook groups where I'd literally just post and see if anyone had good scans or digitized versions of their materials. And you can see the kind of rudimentary system that I put together. But this act of formalizing it through the site kind of made it seem really cool and kind of gave this kind of era of music history importance, and also just put together this this room and this curation of Filipino music that didn't exist before. So for my project, I was thinking of hosting a series of small gatherings and workshops later in May to bring people together and create simple spreadsheet archives. You might have also seen the work of Mindy Sue with the Cyberfeminism Index, which is also originally started as a spreadsheet. So definitely also a huge influence. So I just wanted to invite people to bring together something, whether it's your own personal spreadsheet portfolio, or perhaps a spreadsheet that is an informal collection that you've been starting, or another existing network of like informal information gathering that you would like to like kind of represent into a site. I call this work like the act of like kind of curating informal or like folk archives. I have just been interested in what representation of this data on a website means, and have been interested about the internet and memory and the web's potential to preserving ourselves and our communal histories, and how so much of this like work of curation and like archival has been built on like knowledge work from like so many others on the internet that just have needed like a place to be like connected and kind of formalized, and that perhaps you don't need complex systems to start putting something together, and it does so much for the visibility of the issue, or of the space, and beginning with simple maintainable kind of like tools such as a spreadsheet, to begin creating spaces where we can carry ourselves forward and preserve our histories is a radical act in itself, and is such an important task in beginning to seed the infrastructure where we can kind of take part in determining what things are worth saving, and what things deserve visibility. I've also been loosely thinking about ritual here, what processes these acts might constitute of, and how they can be made more collective, and for us to all become just more conscious stewards of our memory and recognize the infrastructure and kind of like, I guess, like collective mindsets of knowledge gathering and exchange that the internet could be filled with. Yeah, I just want to see a net filled with like small, tiny archives. These will likely run early mid-May, and if you want to get updates, follow me on chia.design or on Instagram or Twitter. I'm hotemogf there. Or a lot of these spreadsheet sites are maintained through this community of Filipino technologists called develop.org that I've been running also, and I'll be sharing more about the kind of small workshop gatherings later on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chia. That was a really lovely presentation, and we're big fans of all kinds of archives here at SFPC, especially ones with a lot of personality and that have a unique curation behind them. So that's a really cool presentation to hear about. And all right, that takes us to the end of our Meet the Participants event. Let's give it up one more time in the chat for all of our presenters this evening. As a reminder, you heard from Izzy Colpitts-Campbell, you heard from Gosana Kenzabek, you heard from Joachim van den Weingard, you heard from Juan Andres Safra, you heard from Keith S. Wilson, you heard from Haley Morton, Benjamin Hall, Saga Barros, we heard from Sherilyn Tan and Nia Hampton from Teaching and Learning, from Justin Manley, Nat Shager, and Chia Amisola. Let's give it up for all our presenters. All right, everybody, and that has been our show. Once again, I'm Todd Anderson. It's been my pleasure to be your host this evening, and I just want to do one more quick shout out for our SFPC summer classes. I'll drop a link right in here. If you'd be interested in studying with us this summer, you can come take a look at our classes right here, dropping a link in chat. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been real fun spending time with you here on the stream. Have a great rest of your evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you're tuning in from. And we'll catch you next time. See you later.